Hey, this is Victor Antonio. Welcome to another Sales Influence Moment. Today we're going to talk about how do you create a value presentation. Ooh, I got something for you. This is what I call the LEAP formula. I want to walk you through. It's really simple. Let's begin, for example, with a process. Let's say you're selling a product or service, and let's say that the company has a process. For example, here's the input, the raw material they use, and their process could look something like this. In other words, step A, and then here's the output, right? In other words, company has certain raw materials or just things that they do. They have a process and then they produce an output. So whether it's a product or service, doesn't matter. Let's say that this is the process that they use, and your product or service is going to help them improve this process, make it faster, make it more efficient, whatever it may be. So that becomes, how do you set up a presentation so you can sell the value of your product? Well, use this simple formula. First, this is the formula. LEAP, L-E-A-P. Now, let me walk you through it. First, we have to locate within the process where we can add value. So let's say you can help them combine these two processes, right, into one. So now you've located where you can help them with their process. Number two, extract. Now you have to quantify by how much you can help them. So let's say that by combining, using your product, they can combine these two processes. So then you combine these two, that means that they can probably be faster. So speed might be something that you can improve on, so you can quantify how fast they'll be able to deliver their products. In other words, instead of taking 2 weeks, now they take 1 week. And what does that mean in terms of value? So again, speed is one. Another maybe is that you reduce the actual cost. Because they don't have to go through two processes, they only have to do one, there might be some cost savings there. So let's stop there. I know that I can improve their speed, I can improve their cost, and maybe, just maybe, because I can reduce costs, I can also help reduce their price to the market, making them more competitive. So these are 3 places that I can say, here's where we bring value. So that's the extraction. And then what you have to do is quantify what that means. How fast? 2 weeks to 1 week. What does that mean in terms of cost? We can reduce your cost from, let's say, $100 to produce it to now to maybe $75. That's a factor. In terms of overall pricing, I can make you more competitive in the market because you're reducing the cost. And because I can reduce the cost, my go-to-market price can actually get lower, which means I can probably sell products at a cheaper price, which means I can probably expand market share. Quantify that. Number 3, once you've located where you can help with value. 2, you've basically extracted the 3 points of value here. Now, this one right here, we assemble that. In other words, you start thinking about the presentation, how you want to tell the story. Do we begin with speed? Do we begin with market share? Or do we begin with cost? So now you assemble your story, almost like a narrative. What's your storyline? And the last part is you then present that. So in other words, as you build your presentation, keep this in mind. First, you have to locate where your product or service can help with value. Number 2, extract the value. That means quantify where you can help them. By the way, by quantifying where you can help them, and if you can make it very tangible in terms of money, then when you get to the 3rd step, you begin to assemble your story. Well, how am I going to present this to the client? Do I talk about cost first, speed, or do I talk about expanded market share? What do I do? And then build out your presentation. And what I love about this approach is that it forces you to focus on how you can help the customer, how you can quantify the value. So when you get to the P, presentation, which can also stand for pricing won't be an issue if you've quantified the value. So keep this in mind in your next presentation when you're really trying to position value. This is Victor Antonio with another Sales Influence Moment, reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how to leap it, provide value, and you know how. Take care.